What's going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back to the Neon Arcade for some more Cyberpunk 2077 news. Today we have a developer Q&A where details on Cyberpunk 2077, E3 2020, ESRB and PEGI Ratings, review copies, and a brief timeline of the future of CD PROJEKT RED and both the Witcher and Cyberpunk franchises were discussed. Before we get into it, however, we have a new image of female V available for download on cyberpunk.net. We did see a partial image of this before with the Blade Runner Easter egg and all, but now we can see it in its full glory, which aligns with the new female V cover variant. A download link will be in the pinned comment. Moving on, in a recent meeting with journalist, CD Projekt's Adam Kicinski took the opportunity to highlight some standout points about Cyberpunk, CD PROJEKT RED, and their future plans. First off, he mentions that Cyberpunk is still on track for September release and has now been submitted to age rating agencies in PEGI and ESRB. This will be the first time people outside the studio will get a chance to play the game, and this process of giving the game a rating typically takes around a month. Whilst a copy of the game being sent out is not the final version, it is complete enough to be sent out to third parties, at least for a rating designation. Just like the Witcher series, CDPR are aiming for a mature or 18+ rating for Cyberpunk. Echoing this statement, Adam Podolski also took to Twitter to mention that they were pushing the game for its ratings, that they continue to playtest and debug, and that 2077 is looking better and better every day. Kicinski mentions that the game is huge and that with the new deadline, there is more breathing room to operate. He also mentions that there is much less work after hours, although some do still work quite hard. Pre-order wise, Cyberpunk 2077 has sold more pre-orders than The Witcher 3, assuming the same period of time. Kicinski also mentions that reviewers will get a specially protected version of the game a few weeks before its premiere, and that the embargo will last up until the weekend before the release date. No details on what capacity review copies are being issued, but as it stands right now, this is still quite far away. In a statement about E3 2020 and the state of the world, Kicinski mentions that if events are cancelled, that they will show things through the power of the internet. With E3 2020 now being cancelled, that means that digital content drops during the same time windows as what they had initially planned for E3 2020 is very likely. When it comes to the marketing of Cyberpunk, Vice President Piotr Nelubowicz mentions that this will be heavily weighted in the few weeks before release. When it comes to The Witcher, Kicinski mentions that there will be no Witcher 4 and that particular arc would remain a trilogy. At the same time, he mentions that they still do want to do Witcher games, and their settlement with Andrzej Sapkowski confirms this. Adam Kicinski also mentions that after the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, that they want to do a little bit more in the studio and produce 2 to 3 games at a time, but it will take a couple years before they're ready for this. Elaborating, he mentions that the company wants to have 2 large teams that produce games. As for the near future, the largest team in CDPR will be implementing the online multiplayer Cyberpunk game, the next big team will be responsible for Cyberpunk DLC, and that the third team will be dealing with the next single AAA RPG game, which they do have a concept for. The third team would be the smallest from the outset, but would grow as the project advances. This timeline would look as follows: Cyberpunk 2077 releases, then DLC and expansions would come next, followed by the multiplayer element in 2022. After this, there would be a 4 to 5 year developmental cycle where the next AAA RPG would then release. Now, although not explicitly stated here, the assumption here is that the new game will be in the Witcher universe. Podolski has also taken to Twitter to mention that The Witcher is still on their minds, but they're not ready to talk about any other projects. Furthermore, they have talked about the dual franchise model of The Witcher and Cyberpunk going forward, with a potential staggering of releases of these 2 franchises, but keep in mind this has yet to be confirmed. Moving on, I do want to mention that there are a few scam sites trying to piggyback off the hype of Cyberpunk 2077, so be very cautious about this. Early keys are not being issued, and although this site looks legit, it's actually not. Thanks for watching, and for more Cyberpunk, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.